How bad do you think it's going to get? Well, based on what 107 says, we're at DEFCON 3, and we got to go to 7. So, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of a meltdown, and I just want all all us loving patriots and intuitives out there to be prepared for this. Once that EBS comes, forget about your phone bills and anything like that, because it's all going to go down. Forget about your mortgages. Forget about your taxes, and you should be, I don't know. I prepared for this a long time ago. I don't have any of those issues, right? Where I'm from and all this other stuff, and I'm just holding off until I get to the Philippines, right? And I'm hoping they don't do the ABS before I get there. Yes, I do. I think it's it's coming to an end very, very shortly. We're only in August right now, so we got August, September, October, November, December. That's 5 more months. We're only halfway through this, and this is the level of, what do you want to call it? Chaos. We're at this level of chaos right now, which we're able to see. Okay, and this is only August, so I believe it's all, a lot of this stuff's going to get wrapped up before December. I think it's going to be a wonderful Christmas. If you want to call December 25 Christmas, even if we don't even know if that's the truth. Yes, we have to stay together to help each other through these very, very dark times. That keeps the light and the energy. There's a lot of other, great positive podcasts you can go to that you can assimilate with, to feed off that energy. There's lots of, the cabal doesn't have control anymore. That isn't apparent. I mean, when you got Ishmael Perez actually, stepping out of his. I know it's probably killing him, because I know because he's full of information, especially on the galactic end of it. But, he's stepping aside because he's probably been told to get ready. But like I said, going through back into Europe again, Europe needs to get into the revaluation of the currencies. Like I said, the euro will come down, but once they implement the RV and everybody has to go back to their respective countries to collect their pay, I think they're going to self-deport. I think that's the only way they can do that, just self-deport. But, Canada is, we have 15, maybe 20 million. It's almost, it's at critical stage right now with migrants, and they're bringing over some of their bad habits, which is dumping garbage everywhere. Canada never looked like this before. We never had, sofas and beds and everything laying in the ditch, especially in the lower mainland. It's terrible. I was shocked. I was born and raised there, and I was shocked when I was driving the back roads, going down some of the old berry patches, and like when I was a kid, we'd have to go to different berry patches to make some money. I was working doing night shift catching chickens. Yeah, for I believe it was $2 an hour. Big money. Drought is in Mississippi, really. Well, we gotta pray for, just get out there on the porch or wherever you're at in the backyard and get in, put your bare feet on the ground and your knees and pray for rain. And if we got a group of people doing that, rain clouds will form. We have that energy in there. We can tap into the frequency. Yep. Did you see what happened with the SEAL Team 6? Yes, I know. Yeah, I know that the Clintons and Obamas were behind all that. They ordered that, yeah. Supposed to have killed Bin Laden. Yeah, well, that was, I know. There's a lot behind that, and Jaco was a part of all that. SEAL Team 6, he was a part of that operation, and he's the expert on talking about that. Yeah, well, that's all coming out now. The intuitives already knew, people that were doing that, that military research on everything that was happening back then. That's all was, basically designed by the deep state. It was all controlled. It was all this stuff that was dreamed up, even about the, this invasion on Iraq was all dreamed up by the deep state. It was the Democrat and the Republicans. They're both guilty of it, right? Yeah. 1 second. Yeah. Well, we're watching a movie, okay? We're watching them come to trial, do confessions, and then maybe executions. All that's going to, that's going to have to be done to wake up. I know that there's a lot of sleepers out there that are starting to wake up by what's going on, because they're getting, hit in the pocketbook. I know what they've done. I've been researching them for since it's gone on, since 9/11. I've been researching this stuff. A lot of this stuff has been coming out there, and we were all called conspiracy theorists to the point where I had to keep my mouth shut. It was very, very difficult for me to, all that research and the writing down that I did in these books. I had to close the book and put it away, because I was being completely attacked back in 2015. Yeah, and 16. That was when Trump was just coming in there. And they said at that time, when Trump got in 2016, he says, that's not going to stop what we're going to do. We're going to continue on with our agenda to keep doing the things that we're doing, because we will not recognize that Trump is the new commander-in-chief. That's not going to stop the corruption. And as you can see, the tough time that he's had trying to, with his executive orders, taking out all these executive orders, these absolute, commie-style executive orders by Biden and Obama and the Clintons, and even the Bushes before that. Nothing was changing. It was like, I was giving up. I was saying, if we don't get somebody in there to start turning this vessel around, we're doomed. And that's why I did the things that I did, because I was preparing, to go off into Asia very, very deep. And I committed myself to that, back in 2014. That's over 12 years ago. So I'm not, I'm there set up now. Yes. Well, they're all going to be, the clones, because they all been replaced. I'm going to say this again to everybody, or for everybody, is that, all the public influencers, politicians, authoritarians of many, many different types, 250,000 of them are not there anymore. They have been basically swapped out. They've been unalived and swapped out with body doubles, clones, or whatever you want to call it. And we're watching a movie unfold. And so, you're having the Global Alliance, some of these influencers or entertainers or whatever were taken out by the cabal. So they can take the brand, duplicate the brand, and then start using their brand to brainwash all the fans, all the followers. They're very, very evil. I'm just a truther. I just don't want to be lied to. I have a passion to tell the truth. Why should we be lying about this? Why should, if people are lying, they've got something to hide. And you know what? They cannot throw any threat on me because I'm not lying, right? I'm telling the truth to the best of my knowledge. I'm a very, very transparent person. I got nothing to hide. And that's the best way to go. Tell the truth, and you'll get great results out of it. If people are lying to you, such as the media, they've got many things to hide. They're being paid off. They're being, blackmailed, right? Yes, Carney's in a mask. Even if it is him, I don't think it is him. I think it's another Carney. We've seen what the old Carney looks like and what the new one. Yeah, he looks too, his facial, whatever it is, it looks too perfect. No, he's, with the amount of pressure that he's got, he should look a lot worse than what he does. No, he's all cloned up, or whatever he is, and he's being controlled by the Alliance right now, as well as a lot of them. But they're basically doing the things that they're doing to, number one, expose who they are, and number two, is basically they're writing their own arrest warrants. But Carney is he's playing a part along with with the Liberal government and that Teletubby Ford. He's causing chaos, and basically the things that he's saying is just basically telling the whole world how stupid he is. Yeah. Same here. Try telling people that 9/11 was a hoax and stuff like that. I know what you're saying, and we got shut down. Called conspiracy theorists, and like I said, we have to, at this point, we have to be there to help ourselves. No more trying to change the, trying to warn the masses, because the masses aren't listening. They're sleepers, NPCs. We have 85% of them on the planet. 5.5 billion people, if that. That leaves about 500,000, I'm thinking 500,000 on the planet that is actually awake, that knows what's going on. Maybe it could be 1 billion, up to 1 billion people that never got the jab. I don't know. But, if you listen to many good doctors out there that are still out there, they're doing a lot of healing with certain holistic type health products and stuff like this to help heal the planet until we get the med beds, right? Like it says, people are going through a lot of physical pain right now because, we've been basically poisoned. Does BC have to all burn before everybody wakes up? I know, it's so frustrating, I know. They're not doing anything. I've been, as a ex-retired sawmill owner, we never, all my properties, whatever, were built up against the lake and stuff like that. We had $2,000 pumps. And when I had the pump there, I was never, there was not one place on my properties, whatever I had, was never needed. I actually had to pull, I actually said, you know what, we're going to have to take this off its concrete foundation and put it on the back of a trailer, because that's what I ended up doing. And then I ended up having a truck with a tank on the back of that truck, and then the pump was on the trailer. And, we did a little bit of, out to our logging roads when fires are coming in there. That was back in, 12, whatever, back whenever it was. Doesn't matter. But there was forest fires then. But, if you're equipped and built and ready to go, you should be able to save all those homes. Look how many homes look, we got Peachland that got hit. Vernon got hit. Penticton been hit. A couple of other places south of Karamias, south of Salmon Arm, all down through there, all got hit hard because people are down by the lake, watching their houses go up, and there's a lake full of water. It doesn't even make sense to me. People, and the reason why they are doing what they're doing because they have never been taught, right? You can prevent a lot of these forest fires. Number one is, we got to get a handle and get the military or some authority up there with these choppers and do a lot more vetting. If they have any type of igniter, fuel of any sort and choppers that they're hauling out, they got to be stopped. And if they're out there, fighting, starting these forest fires, or they have arsons out there, you got to, and especially if you're out in the country, number one, you got to own an ATV, and you got to have your equipment in the back. And you can have a tank, like a decent sized tank, a 100-gallon tank full of retardant. And that'll get rid of a lot of spot fires. And have 2 or 3 tanks. I mean, you have to be prepared for this. If you're going to live in the bush, prepare. Because there is always going to be arsons out there. The cops are, I'm blessing the cops for being out there doing what they're doing, but it's too little too late. You're out there driving around after the fire's already started. It's been burning for 3 or 4 days before you get out there, and what good is it then? People that live out in the country have to be the ones, if you see a spot fire out there, get in your ATV and get up there. And you get out there with, with not just shovels, but you get out there with rakes and like the big hoe. You got a big steel pole, and then you got a metal, it's like a garden hoe. Because that's what turns up, the dirt, and you can put the fires out very fast that way. Yeah, it's kind of a big triangle. And that way you can turn it on its side and drive it into the ground. And that turns up the soil and it'll put out the fire. Very, very, it does a good job, yeah. The problem is with a lot of people, especially the Canadians, we have a lot of people relying on the government, that basically relying on the enemy to save you, and that's kind of crazy. Yes, wildfires will continue as long as we got people out there not fighting back. Arrest the arsons. What are they doing out there trying to ignite fires? They're all mental cases. They're not humanly. They don't have any type of. They're not even human, maybe, because they have no compassion. They're just doing as they're told. They're absolute NPCs. They're soulless NPCs. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying right now. Everything out there that we have been told has been a lie. A big, huge lie. So why would you invest or put your money into a bank that is your enemy? Why would you, there's so many things that go on in this world. I mean, when you can go, that your country's failing you, such as the United States and Canada right now, when it's cheaper to fly to Japan, and go on a Disney tour in Japan, rather than go to Florida and go to Disneyland there. It's cheaper to fly to Japan and do your Disney trip and spend some time in Japan than it is to go to Orlando. I'm serious. They've already done tests on it. Right? It's unbearable. The price of things in Canada is unbearable right now, and I don't know how people are doing it. We're all in this together, and we all have to do our part. Like it says, even if it's just coming on and throwing our ideas out there, or any information that you get. This is a hub center of information that we need to keep alive, and then hopefully attract the people that have been trying to halfway wake up, right? If they haven't woken up to that, or maybe they just don't care, who knows? So I mean, this is very, very important to everybody, right? And I just see a lot of this, willful blindness. they have a strong, very truthful, high conscious community here. And that's exactly what they don't want. Because we're throwing, bouncing ideas off each other. And, we're all singing. Like, that's why we're soul family. We have more in common with each other than we do our own families. Right? I have a young family, like I said, 2 boys that are in the Philippines right now. And, they need me down there so I can, keep them organized. Yeah. There's an emergency storm alert just popped up on my phone. Okay. We are in a final stages of this cabal takedown. I know. It's already been taken down, but the military right now is doing things and laying, basically exposing, doing their expose, bringing all this to the surface, bringing all the ugly fat to the surface, so everybody can see and wake up, according to their, to their disposition. Well, that's what the cabal is trying to do, but the offshore wind turbines, there's nothing, there's no clean energy about those wind turbines. Nothing. I know as a structural engineer, I know what it costs to build those things. And I know how much oil they take just to maintain. The amount of time and effort and energy it takes to maintain those things, you haven't offset the what do you call it, climate footprint one bit. You've actually added to the footprint. They have basically turned men into women and women into men. I mean, what is it with the new generation of women out there? I'm going to say something right now. It's going to probably blow a lot of people out of the water. But, really what has happened to the women of nowadays, it used to be, a hidden secret. If you were a whore, that was very, very it was almost like a spy adventure. But they're out there on all these online dating site and they're showing their butts and boobs off, and it's just like they're all tattooed up, and I'm going, we have lost a whole generation of women out there that have lost their dignity, completely lost their dignity. And there is no, and the guys say, they're for pleasure use only. At least, back in the day, it used to be some kind of, it was kind of an adventure thing to see who that person was. And they kept, whatever they did, in their hanky-panky times was, kept very, very secret to them. There was kind of a, kind of an unwritten rule that they shouldn't be talking about stuff like that. But now it's just like it's out in front in everybody's face, and the guys don't care anymore. They know that, that one, there's so many of them, they say, I'm not going to take that one home for mom. And that's what the young guys are facing now. I mean, it's the dignity and the dignity has gone, and you're seeing this huge separation between men and women now, and that's why men are fleeing. They don't know what to do, and you're seeing this on all these talk shows. I mean, it's up close and in your face. It's really it's very, very concerning how Western society is crumbling. We don't have any there's no honor anymore. It's basically Western society has lost its way. We have taken God out of our schools. Yes, the world has lost any, there's a lot of any level of sensibility. Exactly. They're not connection to love, sexuality, and intimacy used to be a sacred union. Exactly, Martine. And now it's just like, who cares? We have HIV, we have STDs, everything is out there. We have, porn out there at record levels. It's like, oh my God, it's like it's turning into Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole world. Is this the beginning of the end of this, of the big crash? This is Christianity being totally attacked. I mean, I listen, I understand, tattoos are another thing. I mean, everybody goes through that gig, but these beautiful women are got themselves all bunch of ink all over them, and they've taken a beautiful body, even the face, tattooed up, and they have absolutely destroyed it. Absolutely destroyed it with ink and piercings, and they think it's well, I did it for me. Really? Well, then you're going to be enjoying it by yourself, because there's not a man out there that unless he's just using it for pleasure, pleasure purposes. I just thought I'd get that out there, because I'm not seeing that in Western Europe or in Eastern Europe. I'm not seeing it in obviously in Africa. I'm not seeing it in not too much in in the South Americas, but in Canada and the United States, it's absolutely rampant. I'm not seeing it in Asia. I mean, there is some Western stuff going on there. Yeah. Well, exactly. Prostitution is on the rise, because women are okay with it, right? And men are okay with it too, but that is spreading disease like at an epidemic level. Yeah, yeah. Not to mention what do you call it, the what do you call them, dating apps and stuff like this. The amount and level of cheating between, people are at record levels. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, like it says, I mean, we don't know where it's all, prescribed from and whatever, but this is, I mean, you can see the level of blasphemy that is going on in the world with the trafficking of women, it goes on and on. It's all bad. There are only some countries that, that you can look up to, that there is in their society is a level of dignity that you can respect. The West has fallen in many, many ways. There's so much there in Western Canada or in Western society that has to be cleaned up. It's a scary, scary business out there trying to clean this mess up. But, not to mention, I mean, they got and all the drugs that are out there, turning people, having to, getting them on drugs and addictions and stuff like this, and then they have to turn to prostitution or whatever they're doing just to support their drug habits. You see it all over the place.